Hi, I'm Brian. My channel, obviously, is PTSD Joe. It's really cool I was able to talk to Brian on High Impact TV. I'm a subscriber to his website, High Impact TV. Um, there's a lot that I wanted to say to him, but the entire time that I was on the conversation with him, I was having chest pains. And it got really, really extreme. I was like, ah, I was running out of breath. I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Something's happening. I don't know what it is. Okay, I went to the hospital earlier today. Finally, it's been like 3 weeks since this is going on, and my fiance Lillian here is constantly telling me, "Oh, you need to go to the hospital and family and friends." And there's my Lillian.
Hi.
Yeah, she says hi. but and but I finally, bit the bullet and said, okay, well, at least they can do the diagnostic tests and give me an idea of where my levels are at or what's going on. Maybe they can find something wrong with my heart, or because I was having arm pain too, left arm pain, like if you hit your funny bone and that sensation of weakness, and it's like, oh man. I mean, at the same time, and it keeps happening to me. So even during this conversation, more than likely it's going to happen. It's been keeping me up a little bit later than normal. I sleep 4 hours a night. Um, so no matter when I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up 4 hours later and I will be completely alert. Always has been that way now since coming back from combat. So just to get it out of the way, because I want to move on to bigger and better things, other revelations that I've had, and I'll tell you why. I guess I'd have to validate a few things. Um, I was a reconnaissance scout during Desert Storm, front lines with the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment, the same unit that were involved in the Battle of 23 Easting, which is the greatest tank battle since World War II, so they say. Whatever. Okay. I am not a fan of the military. I know exactly what it is. I know that it's a bankster's military. I know the reasons behind it because I've done my research. I do an extensive amount of research. Most of my day, as my fiance can tell you, is spent researching. The videos on YouTube are my favorite. It's a lot easier to watch a whole bunch of videos in a few hours, and I'll spend 10, 15, 20 hours watching videos sometimes. I definitely spend most of my time researching through videos and double checking on government websites, and every time somebody, just like what Brian did, I just love this guy. Okay, first of all, Brian is a necessary cog in the machinery to get to bigger truths. Um, Now, of course, I can pick apart just about anybody's channel, anything anybody is about to say, is saying, because I do spend my time in a diverse range of material study. I'm a construction worker, but I'm not. I'm disabled with combat PTSD, and unfortunately, the VA, I have to go before a judge of the Veterans Benefits Administration because it hadn't been up until the last 5 years that I moved counties, and the new county, the VA, for the Menlo Park um, system recognized, oh my God, you've got PTSD. There's no doubt about it. Duh. But I've known this. I mean, I had to diagnose my plantar fasciitis, my candida, which I still haven't corrected. I'm a thinker, not a doer, which is the opposite of what Rockefeller wanted us to be, right? He wanted us to be doers, not thinkers. Okay, so at least I'm on the right track there. But but as far as what's going on today, let's just jump to that real quick. Okay, what's going on today? Um, everything is a frequency, energy, frequency, and vibration. What provides the energy provides potentiality. So there's potential. There's the frequency, like our DNA is our frequency. Just like your cell phone and my cell phone have its own independent DNA. It's the IME number or whatever. It's its frequency. Again, concepts are more important to me than the smaller pictures of the details, and I understand the truth is in the details. However, once you understand that the cell phone has a frequency, and when somebody in the world among 4.5 billion cell phones calls your frequency, only your frequency is going to ring. Okay, your phone. Okay, it has its own frequency. The reason why DNA is a frequency. Let me pause this. I have the TV. I have the TV on in the background to provide a little backlight. I'm out on the patio. Our DNA is a frequency, which is, I'm just going to throw some truth bombs out here, okay? Because I absolutely, I am so convinced of this. I don't think anybody's going to prove me wrong. Maybe I'm putting a target on my head for the elite to, but the reason why they want you to get tested is because then they have your DNA. If they have your DNA, they have your frequency. If they have your frequency, they can manipulate that frequency. I'll explain something. Women, younger women can get together and live or work together, and within a very short period of time, within one cycle, one period cycle, they can period sync. So they're all having their periods at the same time. Okay? And it's even been postulated that the alpha female is the one who, her period is the one that everybody syncs with. And there's truth in that, perhaps. I think that that's actually a good case, too. Yeah, see my broken nose? Brian, you talk about these bad cops all the time on your show. Let me tell you something. This happened from a cop when I tapped him on the shoulder. He broke my nose this severely, broke 2 of my ribs, and put me in jail for resisting arrest with forced violence and assaulting a police officer, right? I ended up going to prison for a total of 4.5 years for the resisting arrest with forced violence. Because he and his 3 buddies, they were in my home at the time, didn't like the fact that I had a marijuana prescription, a legal prescription in 2000 in the city of Roseville, up there just on the outskirts of Sacramento. Came into my house and said, hey, we don't give a damn, we don't give an F about your stupid license. By the way, I got the license from a Dr. Marion P. Fry in Cool, California. How cool is that? All right, so I told him, hey, man, if you're going to disrespect me inside my own house, you might as well leave. We don't disrespect anybody inside this house. And what was interesting, exact words, I've repeated them enough, I know. I had 2 brand new tenants that I allowed to move in with me. They ended up being from the Bay Area. They were broke. I met them at the bar because I was a pool shark. Don't drink, but and don't play for money either. But I would whoop the living heck out of everybody. I've been playing since I was 8. But I invited them to come live with me. And it was a brother and sister. And they were actually sitting on my steps in my condominium that I didn't own. My mother did. And I made all the payments. A long story to everything. But so I said that pretty much as like a plug. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to set the standards even for the police officers that let's not disrespect people inside this house, okay? We need a sanctuary. I have PTSD, which is just saying I have anxiety. At 10 years old, I said I was going to debunk psychology, and I believe, in my mind, I've been satisfactorily successful in doing that. Medications and Rockefeller medication. Why would Rockefeller have a holistic doctor till the day he died if and why would he crush the holistic doctors if his medicine was better, right? No, he wouldn't touch his own stuff. Give me a break. So, again, I have researched so much. I have 98 playlists. And I have over 22,000 videos that I've watched on YouTube in the last four almost 5 years. 22,000. Some of them 6 hours long. Some of those flat earth videos, I'll tell you. Now, if you want to laugh at that, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you what I think. You know what? I don't know. I don't know, but I'll tell you, there's arguments on both sides, right? Heliocentric and flat. And one makes more sense for some reason, and I'll tell you that there's something different that is more interesting to me. But anyway, okay. So getting back to this this cerveza bug. I love Brian. In fact, of everybody, and we're about the same age. I'm 51, born in '69. You know what that's famous for, right? Yeah, the fake moon landing. Anyway, um, yeah, if you understand energy, frequency, and vibration, and you understand mass and matter. In fact, recently I'm starting to think of, oh, I hate this TV when it cuts out. Um, I've been looking into something differently, which might explain where we get meteorites from. Because there's plasma in the atmosphere. And what can plasma do? Well, I'm pretty convinced that plasma can create um, petrified anything, petrified trees, organisms, living organisms that could become petrified, like people. I just watched one where, in this last century, a man was buried next to, well, he was buried, and I guess some water got in there, whatever, and when they went to bury his wife, they realized, oh my gosh, this is too, and so they moved her, and then later on, years later, I don't know how long later, but the family decided to move the husband next to his wife. And he didn't have any arms, but his entire body was petrified. Now, when I was younger, I went through the petrified forest, and was that in Arizona? I think I can't remember. We grow back and forth every year, so so there's something there. But I'm digressing. I'm sorry. Let's get back to let's get back to this situation we have going on here, because it's part of a little picture. It's actually the smaller picture of all of this. It's just a machination. It's not only a distraction, but the mask is a shh, shh. You want to remind so many people that are in the know, all these Hollywood people that say, oh, I sold my soul to the devil. Yeah, they know what's up. There's a cataclysmic event heading our way. Done. Okay, it is. And this is supposed to be a big one. The Great Reset. You love how they take things and say, oh, the Great Reset, and then, it's about something else. It's not about financial reset. No, come on now. You know where you would need a digital economy? Underground. Because you're not going to produce paper, right? Why would you do that? You got to get rid of everything. How are you going to get rid of waste? I'm sure they have a way to get rid of things, but are you going to make machines down there so that you can printing presses and everything? Just think in terms of, they've always been trying to find a way to hide from this cataclysmic event, because societies have been able to do it. Those that haven't been able to got wiped off the face of the planet and never be heard from again, like dinosaurs and stuff like that, right? But they're cataclysmic events. They're great resets. Plasma discharge. There's a YouTube channel that is better than all of them. The Fullerton Informer, better than, man, as far as when it's coming to what's going on. But again, Joe Ambriano of Fullerton Informer, he's on it. He's on it about frequencies and about about the biology stuff. But I'm just gonna lay it out from all of the videos and the stuff that I've researched. Exosome. The exosome theory. Yeah. Your DNA is your frequency. When you have too many toxins and your body is overloaded with poisons, toxins, and it needs to get rid of it, right? You go outside and you're allergic to pollen, you sneeze immediately. Your body wants to get rid of it immediately, right? You get pimples and things like that. Well, your body's trying to excrete that in that way. It's trying to get it through the skin. So the epidermal approach to getting rid of toxins. You got your... I became a massage therapist 2013, and I have 2,200 hours of education, mainly in Tui Na massage and ancient Chinese acupressure, things like that. Because I was always I wanted to learn the holistic side of it. And that was right after I became an HVAC technician, going to the trade schools, and graduating at the top of my class so I could learn about electricity and electronics and put them together, and I have an understanding of how some of these things work. I'm also a real estate agent, a master tile setter, learned in Germany. Always putting my mind to work. I wanted to use my mind. What does a critical thinker and a think tank do besides think? Nothing. So it's hard for me to get out and do things because I'm a thinker, not a doer. Again, somebody Rockefeller just didn't want around. Because those people can put two and two together, right? Yeah. Okay, so you take a tuning fork. You bing! Take another tuning fork, get close to that tuning fork, and then snuff out the first original tuning fork. Silence it. What happens with this? What's going on with this? Oh, yeah, it's still ringing. Because it picked up on the frequency, the vibration. The vibration is a frequency. There was a guy in, I think it was in the 30s that he came out, William Reif, came up with his Reif technology. He cured like all these people of like cancer, right? Because he tuned in the resonant frequency supposedly to kill off the cancer. I don't think that's what really is going on here. Because when you have a level of dis-ease in your system because of poisons, toxins, and other frequencies, like in 1918 with the Spanish flu and all that, well, that's something different as well. They also want you to believe that it could have been the radio frequencies and all of that, and that's possible. That's possible. That all those millions of people, a lot of people died, right? So we're told. Can we believe everything we've heard about in history? So who knows how the story goes, okay? The most important thing about the JFK assassination is the Warren Commission. They actually, to prove it's like having the internal affairs, investigating the cops, right? But they take the IA from cops. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, our resonant frequency, our body, when we cut ourselves, the resonant frequency, mends our body according to our own frequency. Okay. When somebody is ill, every cell in your body has its own frequency. Oh, that's a lot of frequencies. Yeah, and they're all around us all the time. You just tune into them on a radio, right? Got to have access to the ether. You got to have access to the air and the frequency from wherever, like those balloon satellites that we got out there. So somebody that's in dis-ease, that dis-ease is creating a frequency, vibration of frequency. Somebody comes next to them, it's like that tuning fork. They tune into that frequency. So how can you catch the exact same thing that this other person has? Well, what this other person has originated inside their body. It's a reaction to something else. So what their body is going through is already an internal mechanism working, and it's creating its own frequency and vibration. Somebody comes next to that person. If they're really, really sick, then their frequency will have a stronger bing on that tuning fork. Bing! And it'll make this tuning fork vibrate with that frequency, in a sense. Okay, now I know it's not, but anyway. So your body will pick up on that specific frequency, that specific cell phone within your body, right? It's that same number. And you'll come down with the same symptoms because now your body is responding to what the other person's body is responding to. Just like I said on Brian's video, where I was a caller. And he was explaining, well, I go around people, so it must be something that I'm catching. There is no catching something unless you consider catching a frequency. Like I'm catching a radio station from my radio. I'm using my radio to catch a station. Who says that? I'm tuning in to that station. But what if that station is broadcast and our body is the tuner? Okay, so you're broadcasting an illness, a set of circumstances that your body's dealing with, which out of sync with your genetic, your frequency, homeostasis. Next person comes around, and it's more likely that, perhaps their body is going to say, hey, what's going on here? Why is everybody jumping off the bridge? Maybe there's got to be a reason everybody's doing it. Duck, right? Jump off the bridge. So your body reacts to it as if it's a thing, if it's coming on. I believe that's the case. Trying to cure our body of healing itself. How ridiculous does that sound? In the book that I've been reading, Beauchamp or Pasteur was an utter fraud, just like Einstein, just like Edison, just like Rockefeller medicine, all these people. And it's been about control, but why? They already have had all this control. They've had this control since the beginning. Oh, this is my beautiful little baby. Look at my Pookie. I named him Pookie because I could. My beautiful kitty. He likes to lay on my lap when I come out here. But anybody who tells you different, I find it hard to believe that people can't add two and two together. All I had to learn about water was that it's conscious, it's aware. You've heard of the rice experiment. You've heard of the Japanese doctor or scientist that would flash freeze water after somebody reacted emotionally to the water, yelling at it or loving it or what have you. And what was interesting is that when you change the people doing the exact same thing, since it was coming from somebody totally different, the parameters were absolutely, it was similar. And ugly water crystals when they yelled at them, but beautiful crystals when they were very loving to them. But what was more interesting is that later on those people could come back into the room the next day and that water would remember them and they'd flash freeze it and boom. If they yelled at them the day before, man, that water was not looking good at all. Those crystals were uglier than crap, but they were still similar to the same look, the same form that was unique to each individual that they tested doing this thing. Okay? And if you look at the number of frequencies that are out there, 4.5 billion cell phones alone, and that's just cell phones. We're talking there's remote controls, there's these right here, its own frequency. It's not picking up anything from anybody else's phone from around the world, 4.5, so it's got its own. And how many others are out there? It seems like it's unlimited. And what I think it might be is it's like ones and zeros for your computer programming. The more ones and zeros, the more it changes the character. It's an unlimited number of ones and zeros that you can create for. It's like if you combine frequencies. You combine a couple of them, and there's just like medications. Take one medication, like a psychotropic medication, and you'll react a little bit weird. You take two of them, and it's already getting a little bit confusing because they're reacting to one another. They're changing your biology. You take three or more, and you're screwed. You're screwed. It's like winning the lottery. It's a number of combinations. It's all these numbers, and yet people still can guess numbers, whatever. Let me get it to where it's bright again. But that's what illness is. That's what makes sense. Okay? Energy, frequency, vibration. Nikola Tesla, he figured it out. Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, who was part of the people that took Nikola Tesla's research, his 60 trunks supposedly, and only returned 40 of them 9 years later to his family. But, he's at MIT, right? I think it was MIT. Um, but everything is connected because they know what's been going on. They know that this thing doesn't exist, but the mask is to remind them every day, hey man, it's about to hit the fan. A lot of people are going to get sick because it's called pressure mediation. If you want to know about what magnets really are and what gravity really is and all of this, I would suggest you go to a channel entitled Theoria Apophysis with Ken Wheeler. Okay, he does a lot of lighting things and things for camera, reviews and lens reviews. He's supposed to be one of the best for lens reviews. Nobody really disputes that. But this guy is a freaking genius. This guy is absolutely in the know about what magnetic, all the science behind electromagnetism and Nikola Tesla, and he points it right out that Einstein was a fraud from day one. He worked in a patent office, in his 20s, to learn how to steal people's ideas and patent them, which is what he ended up doing, which is what Pasteur did with Béchamp, with the whole fermentation process. And Béchamp knew it. It's in this book. Everything is in this book. Supreme Court rulings and everything from before 1923. Where they're saying, hey, it's unconstitutional to compel vaccinations and to force vaccinations on the public. All of this is already ruled on. But anyway, so what's more important is not what is happening. The first thing we just have to know is that it's not true. Okay? It's not true. There's no reason to do this except for it reminds. Do you know how many people are in on this? Let me give you an example. Let me just explain something to you. If you knew that there was something that was going to come that was going to destroy every bit of life on the planet, a great reset, not just a little one like all the major cartographers, map makers in the 1800s that were in the California area, they all showed California as an island. In fact, the ones in, I think it was 1400 that were around Michigan, not 1400, maybe it was 15 in the 1500s, whatever. Anyway, back in that area, all showed Michigan without lakes. What? Oh yeah. And you go on Sergio and Rhoda in Israel, and I said this on Brian's video, and you look up Via Dolorosa, the street, Via Dolorosa, which is the street that Jesus supposedly walked on when he walked to his crucifixion. It's buried. And they said that, the city was ruined several times since then, and they just buried on top of it rather than, digging it all up and they just built on top of what? But then when they excavated it, which ironically was in 1948, 1948 in Jerusalem, they excavated the street, went all the way down there. I don't know, it was 2, 3, 4 levels. I can't remember. I'm going to have to watch the darn thing again. That's not what's important to me. The important thing to me is that it was buried. Because when they excavated it, it doesn't look like anything's ruined to me. It looks like it was just buried. Like if you had a mud flood just came in and covered it with mud. The arches are still there. The walls are intact. The floor is intact. So you tell me, how did it get destroyed that they had to build on top of it? How do you build on top of arches that are still standing once you take the dirt out? Did they bring dirt in? And then there's the Rockwall, Texas. Now I watched some. This is what was cool. Okay, I already know you don't want to trust any of the mainstream anything. Remember, if you believe in 9/11, then you're already barking up the wrong video channel. All right. If you believe in JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald and Nichols and Oklahoma City bombing, Terry Nichols and what is his name? Tim, you know who I'm talking about. He was an army soldier too in Desert Storm. But God, I can't believe I usually forget Terry Nichols' name. But anyway, Timothy McVeigh. There it is. Sometimes it takes a minute. If you believe in any of that, man, you're missing. You're never going to believe in anything besides what you've been brainwashed to believe. Okay, the repetition has gotten to you. You might be too far gone. If not, then I would suggest you take a closer look at things. If you hadn't been already, that's fine. Then you're just again barking up the wrong channel, because I'm trying to find other truth seekers and trying to help add to the conversation. And I think I can do it because I don't hear any other channels explaining all of this. They all have little pieces here, pieces there, pieces, and some of them, like Mia's new pair of glasses, man, they are on it. She and Brian, her boyfriend or husband, I don't know if they're married yet now, but their channel's the bomb. The problem is, the stuff that they're saying on their channel might be far too racy, is far too close to the mark for YouTube. So they ended up moving their site off-site, and they charged $300 for membership, which I'm sorry, I don't have. I make $1,000 a month on Social Security disability until the VA, compensates me for the banker work. So when the banks start, unfortunately, again, it doesn't work that way. Isn't it great? Isn't it great how they screw us? Yeah, they use our military to go over and do their little things and take over Libya. So there's a Rothschild's banking system over there, and create Israel, the Rothschilds. And you have to ask yourself, why did they choose Israel? And why is everybody fighting over in the Middle East? It's not over oil. No. I would suggest to you something else. Did you know that during the Vietnam War, Laos was bombed more than any other country in the history of the world, even to this day? Laos, next door, just west of Vietnam. And they called it a CIA secret mission. But what they did was they threw out all these cluster bombs that still to this day kill 1,000, 1,400, mainly children every year, because it's like a bomb that goes off and spreads out all these little landmines. And they're still active. You step on them and boom, dead, gone. Why? Well, it turns out Laos had an extremely extensive underground city system. Probably for many, 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 many people. See, the space race is not about outer space. That's all bunk. That's the ether. No, sorry, the more I thought about, wait a minute, why are all these stars always in the same place? But we're supposed to be going around the sun, and we're supposed to be going here. Well, wouldn't that change the position of how you're seeing the stars and the different I'm surprised nobody can see that. Anyway, isn't it interesting that NASA can tell us about a tick on the ass of an extraterrestrial animal on a planet that's circling around a star 4 trillion light years away. But isn't a microscope the same thing as a telescope, just kind of like looking down at something? Come on, seriously? Oh, but we can't isolate this. We can't see it. It's the invisible rainbow, which is why that book was written. First of all, let me just, not first of all. Let me try to explain something, too. And I may come across as arrogant. I don't care. I'm tired of pussyfooting around people who obviously don't. IQ isn't about what you know. It's about how much you're able to comprehend and put together. When I was in the 7th grade, or the 8th grade, I was in the 8th grade. A couple of my teachers got together, and one of them was learning how to test IQ tests, do IQ tests for Mensa, and they wanted me. And I was not a great student. I was a clown. I was a class clown and everything else. Aced my test, but did pretty miserable with homework because 2 plus 2 is 4. How many times do I have to write that down? Once you know it, you know it. Okay, and I figured things out quicker, and that's why I could ace my tests. But the memorization, that's, again, I was like, wait a minute here. How come the U.S. is always the good guys? How come the winner of wars are always the good guys? That's not what I've noticed. Not in high school, not anywhere I've ever seen. It's almost the most brutal, the most force and violence that always overcomes. Peaceful. Yeah. That's why they want everybody to be like Christ-like, right? Turn the other cheek. Let them hit you again and again and again and again. Don't ever hit back. Ooh, that's not good. Anyway, I don't mean to mock any religions or belief systems, but I find it very ironic that people would find a geographical belief to explain a universal truth. And the only thing that I will say is that if you want to criticize any other religion but your own, I will agree with you, and I will agree with everybody else too. Just like with politics. I'll always agree with criticism of politics, as I know it's a puppet show, but it's not just a puppet show. These people are actors. Almost anybody can act, seriously. And especially when you can, no, hold on a second. I don't even know how I can pause this. But if, hold on a second, I have to check on something out here. But if you really look at it, it's all a stage. Let me get this. Hold on a second. No, hold on a second. Just bear with me. I'm trying to put this together. Hold on. Well, oh, poop. Well, yeah, grab that. Okay. Boy, I'll tell you, I get lost in my ideas. I get lost in my mind. It's just, things are so clear. But anyway, so I tested over 160 IQ back then. In the meantime, I've had 5 traumatic brain injuries. Well, actually, I've had 4 since then. My first one was when I was about 1.5 years, and I fell off of my mom's bicycle while we were riding around Grosse Pointe. I was on the back, right? Little kiddie seats. Gave way, and then bam, I hit the ground head first. Ended up in the hospital for a while. Okay, I got that. So, I don't know how to make a... Okay, first of all, I'm now doing research, but most of my life, I avoided reading about the things that I was most interested in. There's a movie called The Vanishing with Kiefer Sutherland and... I always get him mixed up. And anyways... in The Vanishing, who was the killer? Kiefer Sutherland had a girlfriend that went up missing, and for 5 years he's looking for her. And Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is the killer, and he says, man, this guy's so persistent, I'm going to contact him. And he says, hey, if you want to know what happened to your girlfriend, you're going to have to experience it for yourself. And I found that to be true in life. If you want to understand something, you can't hear it, you have to experience it. That's why a lot of stuff that has happened in my life has only grown my wisdom. And by the way, I've read the Bible 12 times, cover to cover. I read most of the Torah. I've read, the Book of Mormon, Doctrines and Covenants. I've done a lot of research on religions, Buddhism, which isn't really a religion, but it is a belief system. Beliefs. The enemy of all belief is knowledge. Either you believe something or you know it, right? If you believe it, it means you have to have faith. You have to have faith that what we're telling you is the right way to go, but we're going to tell you what the answers to the universe. Okay, first of all, since I was little, I've always had my own saying. I have a lot of, I call them my Brian last name originals. And one of them is, I'm smart enough to know that I will never be smart enough to know the answers to the universe. Period. Period. And then I look at the types of people that are trying to believe that they understand the answers to the universe, and it's suspect. Because I learned about water, and I learned if water is conscious and water is aware, it just came to me instantly. It's like, well, wait a minute, what? Wouldn't that be like omnipotent, omniscient? And if you think about it, all of these changes in the world, why does wind have force? Is it the water content? Moisture? What terraforms the planet besides water? Well, tornadoes. Okay, isn't that water? Well, plate tectonics and shifting of the... okay. Maybe some plasma discharge going off there. And from what I've been learning, oh, the tree of life sounds really weird. But there's a guy that I just watched a part of a video on one of the channels where I think it was Suspicious Observer, or one of my favorite is Globebusters. That guy's on it. He's the one that I first saw the exosome theory and everything else, and could weigh in on that. But oil coming from tree roots. Yeah, not, I mean, you gotta burn them, and coal. I'll see if I can find the, see if I can find the video and look it up. So, but I have a lot of videos that I've watched, and you trust but verify, like Reagan said. That's what I love about Brian on High Impact TV, is that, man, this guy, check it out. Check out High Impact TV. Okay? Now, of course, he's at a, it's like conspiracies 202, 303 maybe? 30, I don't know. It's, again, even excuse me, colleges and things like that. I never wanted to be indoctrinated. I never wanted to be biased. So everything that I'm telling you, I remember, I know I digress a lot, but please bear with me. I remember going to the psychiatrist at Matherfield in Sacramento at the VA. And one of them, I noticed that, he left the room for a minute, and I looked over at my information that he was typing away. But most of these freaking doctors, they don't even look me in the eye half the time. As soon as I get, they're like, "Hi, come on, have a seat," and okay, and they're filling out garbage about, oh, it looks like he's put together well, and his cognition is 4 today, or whatever. I get the VA notes, and I can see everything that they wrote down during the visit. And boy, do they get stuff wrong. Oh my God, it's like I'm talking to them, but they're not hearing what I'm saying. And then they're writing down something completely like, that's not what I said. And I know what I said, because, here's the interesting part. If you speak the truth, and somebody, for example, if you're talking to somebody, if I was talking to, this happened a lot, talking to my mom, right? And I told her, well, you know what, I think that this is wrong. She said, well, yesterday you thought it was right. I'm like, no, I didn't. I've never thought that whatever it is, was right. So I wouldn't say it, because I'm not trying to deceive anybody. So what I think today is what I thought yesterday. I may have changed, okay? I would say, well, yeah, okay, but after reviewing things, I realized that Trump and all these other people are no better than anybody else. It's all a game show. Gosh, where was I? See, I get nervous a little bit, and my heart is starting to hurt again. it just keeps happening, and I don't know what it is. I thought maybe it was fatty liver disease, but they said, oh no, we checked out your liver and your heart, and everything looks absolutely great. And I'm like, man, I smoke cigarettes. I'm up to about a pack and a half, almost 2 packs a day. But think about it. I'm out here watching videos and doing research and reading parts of my books. I gotta tell you, it takes forever to freaking read a book. I'd rather get the Cliff Notes half the time, but the devil's in the details, so it's really good to read the book, especially this Bouchant versus Pasteur type of book, or Pasteur. But I've always used an approach like this. Okay, so that psychiatrist, when I looked over and it said diagnosis, he said, rule out PTSD. Rule it out? What? And I was pissed. It's like, wait a minute, I'm going in here, and here's the thing. None of the doctors ever suggested I had PTSD except in Germany before I came to the States, and he was like, you need to go to the States because your life's falling apart, man. We can't help your PTSD. We don't have combat PTSD in Germany. We're not allowed to deploy. We don't fight wars. America does it for us. Okay, fair enough. But my life was falling apart because I didn't know what was going on. I was just anxious all the time. What I mean by anxious is that, you know how your car engine, idles at 1,000 RPMs? Turn up that idle to 4,500 RPMs, and that's normal. Man, that engine's going to break down, but the brain doesn't break down that way. It's not mechanical. Okay? It has an effect on the body, cortisol levels, thinning hair. You can't see it on the camera, probably not, but I sure could notice it. It's getting thin right there. Maybe you can see it better when I do that. But so it has an effect on the body. It messes with homeostasis. But it's natural rhythm. But he came back, and I asked him. I said, "What the hell, Doc? I thought you said you," and he was one that was saying, well, you might have PTSD. I said, but you put on there rule out, as if you're going to rule out. He says, no, that's not how it works. In order to be objective, if you believe something is true, then you try to prove yourself wrong. Instead of trying to prove yourself right, you go out of your way to prove yourself wrong. If you can prove that you are wrong, then you're wrong, because you proved it. But if you can't prove it, and you continuously try to hack at it, and it just keeps passing muster, it keeps on, oh man, then more than likely that will be your diagnosis, because their hunch was right. But they're not going to promulgate that hunch and only look at supporting facts that would dismiss or that would validate their belief. They're trying to prove themselves wrong because they're after the truth. So that is what I have been doing. I have been trying to discern truth by proving myself wrong all the way in anything that I might assume. But to be honest with you, I am so open-minded that I will not laugh at too much. Now, if I've already researched it and I can prove things that you're saying are wrong, which is how we go about doing things. There's plenty of oh my God, there's some kids, and I call them kids when they're 21, 22 years old, that seem to think that they just know so much more than somebody that's a Menzen and that's 51. Nothing makes me more frustrated is that, oh my God, you really think you know a lot today. You know who's going to prove you wrong in 10 years? Your older self. You'll look back and say, God, when I was 10 years old, or 10 years earlier, 10 years ago, I was a dumbass. And if you don't, then you're the dumbass 10 years later, okay? Because if you haven't learned a damn thing in 10 years, anyhow. So I approach things that way. I try to prove myself wrong. I don't like to research the things that I can figure out for myself in life. I'm going to leave this. Now, Brian talks about things. I don't know if he's ever been 4.5 years in a prison. I've been at Old Folsom, New Folsom, and Corcoran Shoe. Corcoran Shoe is a secured housing unit, which is like the hole of the hole. When you're in the hole in a prison and they say, oh, we want to hurt him even worse. We need more security for this wisecracker. They put you in the shoe like Jeffrey Dahmer, like they'd have Jeffrey Dahmer. But that's federal. Anyway, on a state level in California, it's like, what is this? Helter Skelter guy was at Corcoran. Oh my! I'm just blanking tonight because I'm nervous about all of this. I don't normally get on and do videos or anything. This is my first one. There's so much. If anybody asks me questions, I swear I'll answer. I'll respond to my listeners, my watchers. I don't know how many people can put up with my ramblings and things like this, but I do offer little pearls. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. I'll make sense of the things that I can provide videos. The problem is, after watching so many videos, and I'm saving a lot of them get saved to playlists now, because I've already ruled out things like Alex Jones and all of these shills. And yes, they are shills. There are people who absolutely know what they're doing, and they're misleading people. And there are people that just mislead people because they're just not smart enough to know what's really going on, or they haven't discerned it, or they haven't tried to prove themselves wrong. It's easy to prove yourself wrong when you're wrong. Okay? Pretty much it is. If you try hard enough, and I try very hard. I want to leave you with something. Now, Brian talks about prison and how it's like a rape place. Okay, no. Sorry. That's not how it really is. Here's the funny part. You can interview somebody after they come out of prison, or a reporter can go into prison and interview somebody in prison. You're not going to get the same answers as I am going to get when I'm quizzing. I used my whole time to interview people and to understand what was really going on. And I pushed the levels. I pushed the limits. That's why I ended up in holes and everything, but not because I didn't want to. Sometimes I needed to just get away from all of the madness, and most of the madness came from the officers and the routines, and they're ridiculous the way they had it. Whatever. It's got to get done. Whatever. Okay? But I had enough, and the only way to escape doing those things, going to the chow hall to get your food and doing all of these other things, is to go to the hole. Then they bring your food to you. You don't have to do anything, but you can think. And I was able to squirrel away pencils and paper, and I want to share a poem that I wrote. I'll end this video with a poem that I wrote. I was in the hole in New Folsom prison. I had just had my jaw broken by a younger, skinny-ass little skinhead. Okay? True fact. I have been told by guards that had been working there 25, 26 years that I am the first white person that they have ever seen that was able and allowed to go into the Crips and the Bloods gang sections of Folsom Prison, Old Folsom Prison on the Yard, and play dominoes and cards with them. Spades, usually. Yeah. But the skinheads didn't like that. So they put out a green light on me, which is encouraging anybody to stab me to death. Get me off the yard. Kill me. But for 2 weeks, I fought them off. Tried to get into my cell. I almost threw one off the tier. I almost got thrown off the 3rd tier where I lived at the time. In building 1. Yeah. So I have some experience, but I want to explain. I entitled my poem, and I wrote this poem in about 35 minutes. It's a pretty lengthy poem, but rhyming is pretty easy. And it's my experience. A minute in prison terms is a short period of time. A car. You know, people come up to you and ask you when you're new or they don't know you and they say, hey, what car do you roll with? That means who do you affiliate yourself with? Are you in a gang? What gang? Where are you from? If you're not in any of those things, then just your location. Where'd you get arrested? Where'd you get put in prison from? You know, where'd you go to court and, you know, all this, where you live, where's the crime committed type of thing. And mainly it's about how many people can vouch for you and, you know, are you from Sacramento? Okay, well, the guys obviously were in the jail with you, so we'll ask them, hey, what's the deal with this new guy kind of thing. So that's what a car is. It's just an organization, or, you know, it's who do you affiliate with. It's pretty much all you're going to have to know about this poem. But I got my jaw broken and I ended up in the hole. To allow my jaw to heal because they had to wire it shut, and it took them 2 weeks to do that, and they were giving me little resource drinks and everything else, and oh my god, things just got worse from there. So here we go. Ready? Hold up for a minute while I do rhyme. And hold is HOLED because I'm holed up, like hold up at the bank. Hold up for a minute while I do rhyme. I have no more paper, I have but a pen. They say they'll bring some, but I wonder when. I have no cosmetics nor my good shampoo. I can't have a mirror to look at my do. I get no mail, I am not befriended, and I cannot hide how much I'm offended. For all those out there to whom I was a friend, for them I now see it was only pretend. Not true. Books are few and far between, the worst selection I've ever seen. The ones I ask for once in a while I have to beg for, and that's not my style. So what can I say? What should I do? How can I cope just to get through? They supposedly made me safe from any attack, yet how safe can I be while cuffed behind my back? Should I protest these problems or just be passive? These decisions, I may tell you, make my headaches more massive. For the nurses advised me to tell the doc some, but his name is Penner, which in German means bum. I lie in bed completely awake, wondering how the hell this is for my sake, for now I must eat only it's ground up and blended, while my broken jaw heals, wired shut to be mended. I constantly ask myself, what the hell have I done? I'm a political prisoner now, pardon my pun, for it was prison politics that finally did me in. Having black friends was wearing some thin. And all inmates learn, while we do our time, that the ones running a show are the ones that do crime. So what do? How do we cope? Listen to those that make rounds or those that make dope? Two sets of rules that contradict one another, where one says of all, one omits the brother. I know it is right and therefore it's wrong, but in here I battle both like Forrest Gump played ping pong. I had an aversion to being told what to do. I must answer only to God, not them or you. But they try to oppress me with their constant threats of violence, and since I'm a loner, I have no alliance. I'm not in a gang or roll with their cars. I'm not in here to learn how to live behind bars. Or am I? But then about 35 minutes from the time that they gave me my lunch, which was like 8 cups of liquefied food, where they just blend a hamburger until it was puree and put it in a cup. I tell you, that seemed so disgusting the first 2 days that I just starved myself saying, oh, hell no, I'm not going to eat that crap. And then I loved it. I was like, oh, give me more. Sucking that stuff down. Liquid diet. Woo! Anyway, that lasted about a couple of months. But that's all I wanted to say this time. I have looked at all the information. I can tell you about the Cinco Hey and what that means with the frequencies. Because once they can tune into your frequency, they got your DNA, they got the technology to do for it. And just like Brian, I believe, pointed out in one of his videos that AT&T, who, by the way, supplied Germany with the most advanced telecommunication system in the world at the time, and you don't think they could have listened in? Okay. Oh, bravo. Well, they're now partnering with 9 other companies to see how they can weaponize Cinco Hay. Like they didn't think of that. Oh, here's the funny part. If I didn't know any better about the cataclysm and I didn't understand about the atmospheric pressure, it's like when you go through the bends, which is like what happened in 1918. From diving, the diving bends and everything else like this. It's about pressure mediation. When you go in a hyperbolic chamber, hyperbaric chamber, oxygen chamber, sports teams have them. The 49ers and a lot of sports teams use them to help heal the athletes' bodies, right? So, what is it about oxygen that makes it a healer? Well, it's a cleaner. We know that, right? The difference between water and hydrogen peroxide is one oxygen molecule. Nothing else. Nothing else. Right? Okay, so it's a cleaner. So why do we breathe it in? No. Okay, it's a cleaner. How else are we going to clean our bodies, right? Do we have other mechanisms? Okay, well, so oxygenation, right? It's a cleaner. When you put a mask on, it's like sticking a hose on your car's tailpipe and connecting it to your air intake, right? Is it going to run? Well, I mean, our bodies can. Boy, are we resilient. Look how long it takes them to kill us. With their foods, their GMOs, they're modifying the frequencies of even our food. They no longer have the same frequencies. That's why when you put food in the microwave, you disrupt their frequency. So again, Ken Wheeler at Theoria Apophysis, that's Theoria, second word apophysis, Apothasis. No, I'm sorry, Aphaphos. Yeah, something like Phosis. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry, my heart's starting to hurt a little again. It's really distracting me tonight. But they say, oh, you're not going to have a heart attack or a stroke or anything. You're fine. It's not an emergency, but you got to follow up with a primary care doctor. And I said, I don't have one of those quacks. He said, well, we'll help you get one. I'm like, yeah, okay. It'd be good to know some of these things, but it's not that their information won't be valuable. It's that I won't take their remedies. I know what the remedies are all about. And let me give an example. Okay, so talking about somebody who has to live through it in order to understand something. I don't want people to tell me in their books and everything else about these things. Yeah, some of this information I have to, like the frequencies and all this other stuff. But when I was trying to get help for my anxiety's a killer, I'll tell you. It'll make you snap on people real quick. And especially if you're smarter than most of the people that you'll ever be in a room with. Again, I don't mean to sound arrogant, egotistical, anything like that. If you don't agree with me, I don't care. I'm tired of being a little pussy. I'm tired of being underspoken about things and have to be humble around everybody else. And yeah, 21-year-old, your opinion means just as much as mine. Yeah, you can contribute to the conversation. No, you can't. You haven't even thought about the subject. I just brought it up to you right now. I've spent hundreds or thousands of hours researching something, and you haven't given it a thought, but right now you're going to weigh in on it, and I'm supposed to respect your opinion? It's just like when I was at the doctor's today, and I do this also with the dentist. I ask all the dentists, hey, here's something good for Brian. I know Brian won't watch my hour-long frickin' video because it's just too long. He's too busy, but Brian worked in a water treatment facility, right? He can tell you all about fluoride. Now, you go to a dentist like I have, and I've asked dozens of them because I asked 2 questions. First question, do you believe in fluoride? Is fluoride healthy? Is it good for you? Yes. They always answer yes. Follow-up question, how much research have you done on fluoride? Same question, same answer every time. None. Oh, just school. I just took their word for it. It's like, well, thank God you're not a judge working in a courtroom. You'd hear just one side of something, and I'm ready to rule. Ready to go right now. You're guilty. You're innocent. Whatever. Don't hear anything else, and they don't do what psychiatrists are supposed to do. And this guy was brilliant. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you. Okay, so they don't check not just their facts. No, they don't try to prove themselves wrong, which I believe is the most important part of seeking truth. Don't get caught up in your, you have to be humble. You have to give up the only way to the absolute truth. And this is so hard for most people. They don't want to give up their beliefs. Sorry, you have to give up every single one of your beliefs and start thinking critically about all of them. Try to prove yourself wrong. Try to prove that you're the only right religion, because somehow you're smarter than everybody else on the planet that disagrees with your religion, and they have their own. And they've got all their different... You go into a Catholic church, you have 100 people in the pews, and you have the priest. How many different perceptions of that religion do you have? 101. Guaranteed. I know. I've studied the people. It's all I've done. I love sociology and psychology, and I just drill people, and they don't even know it. I carry conversations, and I keep talking. And guess what? I learn more about people through their reactions of what I am saying than I could ever learn from what they would say to me on their own, because that could be rehearsed. That could be just keep repeating the same crap all over. I'm a good person. I don't cheat people. I don't cheat people. Whatever. People can say whatever the hell they want. I watch the reactions, and I've gotten so good at it. That's why I was able to learn German in 6 months in Germany and become a tile setter and go to the trade schools and all that in German and come back with being a master tile setter. So you have to give up all your beliefs, all of them, every single last one of them. That's true humility. Most people can't be humble like that. And you have to ask yourself, why is it that you hold the beliefs that you hold? What do you get out of it? Nothing. I'm humble in this world. I put everybody else first. Yeah, but what do you get out of it? Well, I get to live in heaven with my Father. Okay. So now I know your motivation. That's not greed? Really? A father figure that I have in my life, he's Seventh-day Adventist. He believes that he's going to live in a palace, and the streets are going to be paved with gold. So we're supposed to eschew all of our appreciation for these things of value, only so that we can get them as a reward later on, and that's not greed. People don't make sense to me. I know most people watching me are they just don't want to give it up because they've been brainwashed. No, you have to believe, you have to have faith, you got to, no, don't let Satan in. No. There's this good versus evil. There's this left-right paradigm. There's always this and that. But if you look at what we know about water and what we know about where water exists, everywhere and everything, and all life came from it, and all life's gonna always was and always will be. You look at that. There's one difference. There's no way to control people with that, with the truth. You can't control people with the truth. You have to control them with lies. And ergo, Satan comes into the picture. That's the whole... See, after reading the Bible a dozen times, I could start to differentiate what it was actually trying to say, who it was trying to reach. It is a puzzle, but it's a puzzle for minds to discern. And people that get caught up in the verses are the same type of people that will never take a look at a Monet and see the little dots because they got a little magnifying glass looking at a dot, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I think this picture is." You can't see a picture from a dot or just the little groups of dots. Maybe you see an umbrella. You know, a famous picture of Monet where it's out on a pond and there's people walking around with umbrellas because that's what the women did. Maybe you see just an umbrella and you say, well, it's about rain. No, it wasn't. It's not that they were afraid of rain. It's to shield them from the sun. You just can't get the picture unless you stop all your beliefs and try to make sense of things. The greatest way that they try to deceive us today, you know what the big push is right now with election time? They want people to go and vote. Why do they want people to go and vote? Because that's the number of people that they know they got you hook, line, and sinker because you believe that their system is actually what it is. An election, not a selection. It's a great way to identify. That's why they do these polls, and they lie about these polls and everything else. But I'll bet you their statistics. I'll bet you they're getting the accurate poll numbers and then changing them to whatever the hell they want. To, back up whatever it is that they're trying to... It's not hard. It's not hard. In fact, most of the people that I grew up around in Grosse Pointe were Republicans. Because the Democrats are about social engineering. Okay, that's their role. It's when you need somebody into... the Democrats are always about your feelings and, let's look after LGBTQ and everything else, which, by the way, is because of all of the soy products and the estrogen levels that have been hiked in people's diets. I started to grow little man boobs a little while ago, and so did my buddy that just told me he's like 30 now. He started growing these man boobs. He had to go to the doctor and get a prescription. Oh, yeah, prescriptions, give me a break. Well, getting back to what I was saying before, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over. I've been on 34 different psychotropic medications. 34. I'm diagnosed with, before PTSD, they were just throwing everything out there. Oh, you're bipolar. Do you get angry sometimes? Yeah. Are you happy sometimes? Yeah. Are you sad sometimes? You don't know why? Yeah. Oh, you must be bipolar. Oh, your father committed suicide? Oh, you're bipolar. Okay, here's some medications. Take some lithium and all this crap. Screwed my body up so bad. Screwed my mind up so bad. That's why I wanted to go to prison. I was homeless. Tell you what, got on one hand, you got, and I'm talking about, tapping a cop on the shoulder. That I did not try to do. I was getting my life. My life started to get together, but I'll tell you, the VA was too influential in my life. When you spend too many hours talking about your problem, you keep ruminating the problem. You're not in solution. You're just constantly talking, oh, my problem, my problem, my problem, my problem. It just makes it worse. Got to knock that crap off. So no, I don't believe in going to all these groups and constantly talking about your problems. No. But 34. At what point, after losing things, losing all sorts of, just going nuts and people not understanding me because I'm like, this bizarro world is trying to tell me 2 + 2 is 5, and I know it's not. Don't you think that can lead to an insanity? Then I just realized, man, the more I know, the more powerful it's been. Have I produced things? Well, look, the book of Ecclesiastes wasn't about vanity. No. People say, oh, it's vanity, vanity. Oh, that's such a brainwashed hawk of crap. That is a smaller point. The book of Ecclesiastes was about wisdom. Wisdom. It's all summed up in Ecclesiastes the first, so 1:18. Wisdom brings great sadness. That's paraphrased. Sadness. Great sadness and wisdom are intrinsic. How can you get wisdom if you don't have great sadness? The greater the sadness, the more wisdom can come from it. It's not to suggest that everybody that goes through trauma is going to learn a lot from it and they're going to get wise. No, you've got a lot of dummies in the world. Sorry. Remember, it only takes about a 95 IQ to be a cop. But I've gone out of my way to look at everything in life and be as objective about it as possible. I'll tell you when I'm a piece of, when I'm not right. And here's the funny part about somebody like me, and I'm going to say it's PTSD, but all it is prolonged exposure to stress creates this normalization in your body of stress. It's the same as these people. The more you hear a lie, promulgated, the more you're going, oh, I'm just going to believe it now. And it's a natural thing that occurs. It's natural. But with this increased anxiety now all the time, and it's not based on lies. No. No, it's based on truth. So it's not like I can wipe away the truth and you wipe away the problem. No, 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 no. If it's based on lies, okay? False. False evidence appearing real, fear. If it's fear-based, it's not in truth. But let me tell you something. Your fear during combat, wartime, in the front lines, that's evidence-based. That's fact-based. That is not fear, false evidence. That is no false evidence. People that come up with these stupid sayings and everything, I'll tell you, just like what would Jesus do when it really should be, how would Jesus be? The essence. Am I religious? Absolutely not. Do I have any beliefs in any of this quackery? Not a bit of it. Why? Because I've educated myself, I've taken a deep look at history, and I absolutely have been able to prove myself wrong in all of the things that I thought I was taught to believe. If you want to go ahead and let other people tell you what to think and feel, and you can't see it, there's no helping you until you can be humble. You want to be real humble? Give up your beliefs. Put them in your pocket for a minute. Just stick them there for a minute. You can get them back out if you can prove yourself, if you can't prove yourself wrong. But if you try real hard, you don't even have to try too hard. You can do it. You'll prove yourself wrong every 10 years, right? Every year, maybe every day when you learn as quickly as I do. I'm sure some of you do. I can back up everything that I'm saying. And it's not mainstream. You're not going to hear it. You might hear it some places. I'll tell you, the ones who were closest to what I started to figure out is Mia's new pair of glasses with the cataclysmic event. But there's some other things that I think I'm telling you. It's like the tides. It's not lunar phase. It has nothing to do with lunar tides. No, they've proven that. I mean, when I say they, I'm not talking mainstream. Oh, by the way, what I was going to mention earlier, I know I'm going over a lot, but there is a Rockwall, Texas, and the History Channel, which is, oh God, they're so full of it. They debunk truths, actual truth, empirical truths. They will go out of their way to give you a bunch of BS and tell you how 9/11 was not an inside job. 9/11 was all that, whatever, okay? And how Kennedy was hit by a magic bullet in front, not the guy that was sitting in the damn sewer. Or every time I see that Zapruder film, I see the driver turning around. And why would he have his hand turn around? What was in his hand? Why would he have it in his hand? I mean, looks like a gun to me. Looks like he's the one that shot him. But you know he was in on it. You know they were all in on it. Except for maybe Jackie. Who knows, right? But you know they were in on it. You know they pulled the detail back from behind the limo where they had those running boards that they stood up on. You know that if you start getting shot in an open convertible like that, the driver, what's the normal reaction you would have? Get the hell out of Dodge. You floor it. You don't stop it. How ridiculous. Then he turns around and weird. But again, who knows? Maybe a little optical illusion. Maybe it was, whatever. It's okay. We just know that it wasn't what they were saying it was, and yet they still came out with a phony Warren Commission report, right? Just like 9/11. And the whole idea of all of this, and what I was going to say before, if it were you, if you're the only person in the world or on the earth to know that there's a cataclysmic event that's coming, what the exact dates are, that they're so full of it when they think that, let me ask you, okay, so we all know that an apple falls from a tree, right? But who can predict when that apple is going to fall? I challenge you.
Now try to predict when the apple is going to fall from a tree before you even plant the seed. Well, that's a little bit more difficult, isn't it? Not impossible. But you have to look at the conditions. You have to see, okay, well, that's what it was like over here and this and that. And the people that have those records, which I would suggest were the Knights Templar. That's why they dug into King Solomon's, palace, and that was buried. Interesting how everything is buried, like the Rockwall, Texas. So, I'm jumping all around, but I know you can follow me. I'm not here for the people that can't follow me. I'd rather speak to those and create friendships and a community among the people that can follow me. I am not going to waste my time trying to educate people or actually make them smart. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them what? Wrong, because that's stupid. Horses would know better if the water was foul, so they wouldn't drink from it. So really it should be, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him smart. Can't force it. And don't think he's a dumb horse. If he's not drinking from a water, that you start sucking it down, but it's foul and you end up... Animals are a lot smarter than we are when it comes to a lot of things because they're pragmatic. They don't have ego. They don't have all these things. At least it doesn't seem like they do. Okay? They sure as hell aren't as focused on it as we are. They don't have this type of hierarchy set up. They don't have riches that... anyway. Rockwall, Texas. 70-foot tall wall, all underground. And, of course, History Channel is going to try to, debunk it. Oh, look at that. Oh, no, because of the direction of the magnetic forces in rock, we can tell that, when they didn't put them together in order, why would they do that? How would they know? Let's just say even that was what it was really about. Is that each chunk of rock, you can tell there's a very minute amount of magnetic, north-south. They aren't really even poles. You want to learn about magnetics? I can't repeat any of this stuff. Go to Ken Wheeler's channel, Theoria Apophysis. He'll let you know all about it. And I believe he's right, and he proves it. And it'd be interesting if you would check out how you can grow plants and make them just go bombshell by exposing them to the south side, and how you'll kill them if you expose them to the north side of a magnet. Yeah. So look at us. Look at what makes us grow and what... But anyway, so that Rockwall, Texas and everything... Sorry. Oh, and another thing. When I was in prison, I used to make saltwater lighters for people that were in the hole. I just give them away. In fact, that was the secret of my success. I did everything for free, and I smoked like a chimney the whole time, and I never had a penny on my books in prison. But I did some really cool things. I would actually steal a bunch of urinalysis bottles, with a little orange cap on top that you screw from the infirmary, which was difficult in itself because you